Dobry den.
Zdravejte.
And welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
We've managed to reach December.
We have, and it's turned chilly.
Oh yes. It's very cold out there. It's grey, it's rainy. No snow yet.
No.
But it's a matter of time, I feel.
I think there's been some sprinkling of snow not far from us, but we've not seen any at all.
Not yet.
We haven't had any sunshine this week, have we?
Well, we started the week very well with the weather. We had our last really sunny day on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday was lovely.
And that's quite handy because this is what we did. So we're here at the second Palamartsa trading day. You can see there's a good turnout yet again. Plenty of people doing bits and pieces. We'll have a wander around, see what's happening. And the weather is lovely, so a little bit chilly, but just the right sort of weather you want for rummaging through a whole load of bargains. So you can see how busy it is here. Plenty going on at this end of the stores. You can buy anything from bottles of wine, vinegar. Coming this way, you've got some tyres over here. Clothes, speakers, all sorts of stuff. So we're just going to do a little walk by of some of the stores, just to give you a general idea of the sort of thing that's here. There's a lovely atmosphere of people basically doing their trading bits, chatting, catching up with friends whilst doing their shopping. There's also a stall here doing Thai food. There is a local Thai restaurant which is where they're from, and the food looks absolutely delicious. And here we go again, there's some more of the things. We've got jars, basically anything that people have either come to an end of a use for themselves or think might be useful for other people. And here it is. We've got plenty of clothes, bits for pechkas, all sorts. For the musical amongst you, there's a couple of guitars. I'm not going to play them, don't worry, because that would just be unfortunate. Now here are some things that have caught my eye. Some barrel fermenters with taps on the front. Luckily, I think we've got enough furniture now, otherwise Lynn will be over here spending my money like she did last time. So that just gives you a flavour of what's happening. But a successful turnout yet again. We've also got cakes being sold, which I'm sure I'll be back to later, so make sure I don't miss out. Books, DVDs, all the usual sort of things you'd expect to see. And you can tell by the number of people here that they don't all come from Palomatza. We've got people coming from further afield. They come by car, they come by bike, they've walked. Some of them have even come by rotavator.
But since then, we've had no sunshine.
No.
No sunshine in our lives.
A lot of mud.
A lot of mud. A lot of rain.
Yeah. So it's kind of focused us on getting warm, staying warm. Our pechkas have been burning for an awful lot more.
Luckily, we had a lot of extra wood.
Yes, you've seen us digging it out of the floors. We've carried on doing that, and this is what we've done this week. So following on from last week, I've now removed all the floorboards, all the dirt from between the beams and all the supporting wood, and it's left me with a row of 8 beams which need to be replaced. Before I continue, I'm going to clean up the cellar. This is a pile of all the dirt that fell from the ceiling as I was taking up the floor. It's all brushed into the middle. I've just got to wheelbarrow it up to where we're dumping all the soil and all the rubbish. Once that's done, I can carry on with the job of removing these beams. this is what I've got to deal with next. The beam's going across from side to side. The central beam I'm leaving, that's solid all the way across. That's going to help support the new beams when they go in. But that's the view you now get from the cellar. This is part of the reason for having to replace these beams. Where they're joining the wall, you can see that it's quite rotten. Underneath the beam is a piece of wood that's laid in the wall, and that's also quite rotten. So what I may have to do is cut that out, and when I put the new beam in, refill it with probably, I don't know, cement, some sort of concrete thing, put it in there to hold the beams in place. There's a couple of ideas floating about. I'll let you know what I go with when I go with it. The Tabby's joined me in the room here just to see exactly what I'm doing, make sure I'm doing it properly. Bit of health and safety. She ought to be wearing a hard hat really, but cats being cats, they don't listen. You can also see just how unstraight these beams were. Although it doesn't quite do it justice, the up and down axis of the beam is just as bent as the side to side axis. So there's a lot of padding and packing from the floorboards, which is another reason for me wanting to replace them with square ones. So my next job is to cut through these beams so that I can remove them. Now I could do it with a handsaw, but where's the fun in that? Now that both ends of this beam have been cut, we can see that it's also attached to this main middle beam. It moves around quite freely, but we obviously need to free it up from the middle. So I think that's going to be a crowbar, and see if we can lever it off. So this is what the inside of the hole looks like from one side of the room. Everything is completely rotted through, whether this is water or insect damage, we're not sure. But yes, that's why we had a bouncy floor. And in direct contrast, this is the other side, where the beams were very, very solid. They've going to take some removing, but once we've got them out, we can replace them with the new floor joists. So that's all the remaining parts of the joists removed from the holes in the walls. The joists there are stacked in the corner waiting to be taken down to the barn. And we're just waiting for a drier day to do that because it's very wet and muddy outside. But we're now ready to start replacing some of these beams. Get them in place, level them up, and we'll be ready then to lay the floor. So hopefully by this time next week, we'll have a floor. We're due to have some drier days over the weekend, so we should be able to get those beams out of the room and the new ones in. So progress will continue.
Yes, I still have high hopes of a Christmas table.
Fingers crossed, yeah. Speaking of Christmas, we've started our preparations.
We have. Adam did the Christmas ham.
Well, it's gammon at the moment, it will be ham. And this is what I did. Christmas is rapidly approaching. We're almost at the start of December. So it's time now to prepare the Christmas gammon. Now you can buy gammon obviously in the shops, but it's always nicer if you make it yourself. So I'm going to show you this recipe that I use for Christmas gammon. Normally you'd use a rolled leg of pork. This being Bulgaria and me not being very good at the butchers, I have to use what I can find. So I've got a kilogram here of pork which I'm going to use, and I'll show you basically the process for me doing it. The first step is to make a brine which will be injected into the meat to add flavour from the inside. Now I've already mixed the ingredients together in this container. I will put the recipe in the description, so if you want to have a go at it yourself, you can do. But the next thing I have to do with this is boil it in some water to give me some flavoured brine, which will be injected into the meat. Now that it's boiling, we let it simmer for 5 minutes, just to give it a chance to infuse the water with the flavours. Now that we've allowed that to simmer 5 minutes, you can see the colour that it's picked up from the ingredients. What we actually need from this is just the liquid. We allow it to cool to room temperature, sieve out any of the solid matter, and then we have a liquid ready to inject into the meat. While we wait for the brine to cool down to a temperature where we can use it, we'll make up the rub that goes on the outside of the meat. Now again, the ingredients for this is in the description. I've mixed the ingredients together. Now I need to grind them together to form a very fine powder. I do this with the use of a coffee grinder. Now it's not the coffee grinder I use for my coffee, it's the coffee grinder I use for my spices. So whenever I'm doing any sort of rub and I need to grind anything up, it goes into this grinder, and that's where I get an uncontaminated rub. Now that the brine has cooled, I'm ready to filter out all the solid matter, leaving myself the liquid ready to inject into the meat. Part of the process of preparing the meat to become gammon, we have to cure it. Now I've got curing salt, I've got sugar, and I've got the rub we made up. This will be applied to the outside of the meat once the liquid we prepared has been injected into the meat. It'll then be sealed in a bag and stored in the fridge. But for now, I mix these three together, and that will be the outside rub ready to use. So we're now ready to start adding flavour to the meat. We've got the brine, we've got the rub, we're ready to go. And now we inject the brine into the meat. Any of the brine that we don't use and any brine that comes out of the meat while we're injecting it won't be wasted. It'll be put in the bag with the meat so the flavours can continue to marinate through the meat. Our next stage is to apply the rub, put it in a bag and pop it in the fridge. Any rub and brine that came out of the meat into the tin will be added to the bag that the meat is in, along with any leftover brine and any leftover rub. That'll all add to the flavour, all add to the curing process. And once it's all in the bag, we can squeeze out the air and seal it up. So that's the meat with the brine and the rub sealed in a bag. I'll put it into a tray just in case there's any leakages, but it's now ready to put in the fridge. Now every day for the next 10 days we turn it over, give it a rub, make sure that the meat is in contact with the brine that's escaped from inside it. After 10 days it's then ready for the next stage, but we'll do that when we come to it.
Yes, it did smell really Christmassy when Adam was cooking that.
And every time I open the fridge and turn the ham, you get the Christmas smells coming back.
Yeah.
One thing I have done, I've re-injected the liquid that's in the bag, I've re-injected into the ham just to aid the curing process, so it cures from inside as well as outside. So if you are planning on doing your own, there's a little hint for you.
Yes, I'll soon have my annual trip up to the common to collect my pine boughs for my decorations.
Yes, we'll have our usual homemade natural Christmas decorations. We may throw some tinsel in as well.
I haven't bought any this year at all, so
no.
It'll just be what we've had from other years.
And as we're now in December, you're allowed to play your Christmas records.
Yes, all our family will know. Adam starts playing Christmas tunes from the 1st of December.
Well, you have to, don't you?
Some are better than others.
Yes. I have a wide and varied selection.
Eclectic. That's what you call it.
So, we're almost there, but we have one last very important thing to do.
Yes, very happy birthday to our grandson Seamus.
Happy birthday, Seamus.
We hope you had a great day and we hope you enjoy your go-karting this evening.
I'm sure you will. So I think that's probably about it from us this week.
So until next week.
Take care.
Stay safe.
Doskoro.
Doskoro.